Now again, in the Journal of the Book of Mormon Studies, this is volume 12, issue number 1 for 2003. All of this is free on the internet, just so you know. It truly is. It's easy access information. I'm just sharing with you all of the confluences of informations on all of the different aspects of the Book of Mormon in Saudi Arabia. It has a very telling authenticity. This one is this is Nahum and the Eastward Turn. Again, it's based on the research, the incredible research of S. Kent Brown, who is probably the foremost scholar in this area, along with George Potter and, well, the Hiltons. You can't count out the Hiltons and the Astons. There are numerous people who have been exploring this now for several decades. This particular discussion on the idea of Nahum as the burial place of Ishmael, and he goes through the Southern Arabia, is certified by recent journal publications that the 3 altars have been found with the inscriptions of Nahum, thus archaeologically demonstrating solidly that this area Nahum did exist before Lehi got there, so on and so forth. Such discoveries demonstrate as firmly as possible by archaeological means the existence of the tribal name Nahum in that part of Arabia in the 7th and 6th centuries BC. The general dates assigned to the carving of the altars by the excavators themselves. In view of one recent commentator, the discovery of the altars amounts to the first actual archaeological evidence for the historicity of the Book of Mormon. So we have an archaeological basis. It's important to emphasize that in the world of archaeology, written inscriptions are the evidence most sought after because they often establish names and dates, and these are key ingredients for interpreting the past. The inscriptions on the 3 altars from the 7th and 6th centuries BC, all mentioning the Nahum tribe, prove beyond doubt the existence of this name in that region of Yemen during the first half of the 1st millennium BC, when Nephi's party was on the move. The case for Nahum in this area is made even more tight by recent study, and this is the new information that is fascinating, I think. It has become clearly apparent from Nephi's note, we did travel nearly eastward from Nahum, that's 1 Nephi 17 verse 1, that he and his party not only had stayed in the Nahum tribal area, burying Ishmael there, but also they were following or shadowing the incense trail, a trading road that was then by then offered an infrastructure of wells and fodder for the animals and to the travelers. From the general region of the Nahum tribe, all roads turned east. The question is, how so? Because Nephi is taking the frankincense trail backwards from the original ancient travelers who were trading incense all over the ancient Near East. It's very interesting here. Across the Ramlat, the Sab-Atain Desert, east of this tribal region and east of the Marib, lay the city of Shabwa, now in ruins. By ancient Arabian law, it was to this city that all incense harvested in the highlands of southern Arabia was carried to. And what they did is they inventoried the incense, they weighed it, they taxed it, so on and so forth. Shabwa became very rich because of this incense trade, way down in southern Arabia. And the traders made gifts of incense to the Shabwa temple that's there. After this process, the traders loaded the incense and other goods onto camels and shipped them toward the Mediterranean and the Mesopotamian areas. What they were doing is traveling at first westward, and then, after reaching the edges of the region of the Nahum tribe, they turned northwards. These directions are exactly opposite of what Nephi said they were traveling, of course. Even the daunting shortcuts across the Ramlat-Sabeh-Atain Desert, this left travelers without water for over 150 miles. Now, in desert of 125 degrees, that's seriously serious. You have to be very careful. But it did run generally from east to west. What is important for our purposes is the fact that the eastward turn of Nephi's narrative does not show up in any known ancient source, including Pliny the Elder's famous description of the incense-growing lands of Arabia. In a word, no one knew of this eastward turn in the incense trail except persons who had traveled it or who have lived in that territory. This kind of detail in the Book of Mormon narrative, combined with the reference to Nahum, is information that was unavailable in Joseph Smith's day, and thus stands as compelling evidence of the antiquity of the text. In a word, the Book of Mormon has it backwards from the way the ancient travelers were going, because Nephi and Lehi and Sariah were coming from the north in Jerusalem, so they were going south-southeast, instead of north-northwest, as the ancient frankincense traders did. But from Nahum, the Book of Mormon is the only record that says we did go due east, because no one went east anciently on the frankincense trade. They were coming from that direction, so they were going west. So even in the minute details of going along the trail backwards, the Book of Mormon hits the nail on the head.
There is the beautiful Yellowstone River. I'm up above it here on the trail, just enjoying a morning in the forest by the river. Geese just flew in a few minutes ago. I wish I'd have had my camera on. You could have heard them. It is an absolutely beautiful but cool morning here in Yellowstone National Park. Looks like there's some pelicans flying around. See if I can get a close-up of these. Here they come around again. Hard to see. There we go. Hard to see them against those clouds. Those aren't pelicans, but they're out there. Lots of wildlife here in Yellowstone. You can hear the geese. I can't see them though. Hear that squirrel also. Oh, there they are. Oh, I just missed them.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic hearing the wildlife and seeing the wildlife and seeing this beautiful country and sharing some insights onto the on the Book of Mormon with you. Another really remarkable study that has shown up in the last, well, this is the Journal of the Book of Mormon Studies. Where is it? Volume 11, number 1, for 2002 also. This is Ihab Abanuwara. Now, he's an Arabian who has joined the church. He's been in Saudi Arabia most of his whole life. His title in his article is Into the Desert, an Arab View of the Book of Mormon. Now, this is significant because now we're getting someone from that culture